You are waking up in a room that feels like a prison, though the doors are wide open and the world is calling your name. The air is stale, heavy with the silent scent of a man who has surrendered to his own shadows for far too long today. Your limbs feel like leaden weights, anchored to a life of mediocrity. You look at the digital device in your hand, the small glowing screen that has become the primary drain for your most sacred and vital masculine fire. It is a parasite, a cold and indifferent machine that has been drinking your potential while you slept in a fog of your own making in life. The terrifying realization hits you like a bucket of ice water. You are a king who has been living as a peasant, trading your crown for crumbs of hollow digital pleasure. The weight of your wasted years is a physical pressure in your chest, demanding that you finally make a stand or disappear. This was the moment I decided to initiate the 30-day challenge, a desperate attempt to stop the leak and to reclaim the sovereignty of my own full soul. I was tired of being a ghost in my own story, drifting through the days without any real direction or a powerful internal sense. Day one began not with a whisper, but with the roar of a cold shower that felt like thousands of needles piercing my soft and very comfortable skin. I stood there, gasping for air, as the water washed away the layer of shame and the lethargy that had defined my previous gray. The friction was immediate, as my brain began to scream for the easy dopamine hits it had become addicted to over the years of mindless and dark consumption. I had to learn to sit with the discomfort, to embrace the mental itch that signaled the start of my very difficult. Then it happens, a moment of such profound internal shift that the hair on your arm stands as if struck by static electricity and holy light. You look into your own eyes in the bathroom mirror and realize you are no longer staring at a ghost, but at something ancient and alive. The daily rituals became my only anchor in the storm of withdrawal, a series of non-negotiable disciplines designed to harden the vessel and to contain the rising masculine pressure. I focused on the metrics of my own accountability, tracking the clarity of my thoughts and the strength of mine. By day 7, the leaky vessel had begun to seal, and the first true surge of physical vitality hit me with the force of a high-speed and very powerful train. My voice dropped a half octave, resonating from a chest that was finally starting to hold the weight of a weight. I began to use deep work as a method of transmutation, moving the raw energy from my lower centers into the creative and productive engines of my own professional empire. The urge was no longer an enemy to be feared, but a fuel to be utilized for my high level. My metrics showed a 300% increase in my ability to stay focused on a single task without the need for a digital or a hollow distraction today. I was becoming a machine of execution, a man who moves through his to-do list with a cold and very surgical. People in the outside world began to react to me differently, sensing a change in the gravity of my presence that they could not quite explain with words. I was no longer an invisible man. I was a localized event, a source of heat and light in a. By day 14, the internal pressure had reached a state of nuclear intensity, demanding that I find even more outlets for the power I was now desperately holding. I turned to heavy lifting, pushing my body to the absolute brink of failure to accommodate the massive rising and. The challenge wasn't just about what I was not doing. It was about the man I was becoming through the silence of my own long-term and very holy restraint. I was learning to trust myself again, a feeling of self-reliance that is worth more than all the digital. The dreaded flat line arrived on day 20, a period of emotional numbness that tested my resolve to the very core of my being and my spirit. The world turned gray again, and the superpowers seemed to vanish, leaving me alone with the shadows of my own dark. But I pushed through the void, knowing that my brain was simply recalibrating its receptors to handle the new, high-voltage reality I was building with every single day of retention. I refused to go back to the dark, choosing instead to walk through the cold, empty, and on day 21, the magnetism peaked, and I felt a connection to the world around me that was both beautiful and terrifyingly intense in its depth and its soul. I was no longer separate from life. I was a vital part of its rhythmic, golden, and varied. My sleep became a deep cinematic experience of vivid dreams and restorative healing, as my body finally had the resources it needed to repair the years of damage and depletion. I woke up with a sense of neural clarity that felt like a fresh, cool morning breeze. I tracked the frequency of my urges, realizing that they were becoming less like waves and more like a steady, manageable current of internal and very powerful life force and intent. I was the master of the sea, the captain of the ship, and the king of the... Accountability was the key to my success, as I documented every physical and emotional shift in a journal that became a sacred map of my own, long-term and very difficult resurrection. I saw the data of my own transformation, a proof of the power of the human. Day 25 brought a spiritual clarity that I had never experienced before, a sense of knowing that guided my every move and my every single word in the world. I was no longer second-guessing my decisions. I was acting with the authority of a sovereign masculine. The internal dialogue changed from the whimper of a victim to the steady, calm command of a victor who has finally won the war for his soul. I was at peace with the silence, finding a strength in the stillness that the loud, modern world could never truly. As day 28 approached, I felt a sense of readiness for the final test of my character and my new, powerful, and very holy masculine spirit and soul today. I was standing on the precipice of a new life, looking out at a horizon that was finally. The completion of the 30-day challenge was a quiet, emotional moment of reflection in front of the mirror, where I finally recognized the man looking back at me today. He was strong, he was clear, and he was finally, beautifully, and eternally alive in his own full. I realized the true cost of my old life, the price I had paid in the currency of my own potential for a few seconds of hollow and very dark pleasure. The tears that fell were not of sadness, but of a deep, soulful relief that the nightmare. The newfound respect I felt for my own vital seed was a sacred bond, a promise to never again throw away the fire that fuels my dreams and my destiny. I was a guardian of the flame, a priest of the internal temple, and a man of Vaname. The suspense of what lies beyond day 30 is the most exciting part of the journey, as I realize that I am only at the beginning of my potential. There is an infinite road ahead, a path of constant growth and constant expansion into the light above. I warn you now, do not let the fire go out once you have reached this peak, for the descent back into the shadows is a cold and very lonely fall. You must remain vigilant, a sentinel of your own energy who refuses to ever be weak. I am committing to the forever journey, a life of retention and transmutation that will define the legacy I leave behind for my children and the world. I am a man of the light, a warrior of the spirit, and a master of my own. The journey changed my life because it forced me to face the truth of who I am, when I am not hiding behind the fog of my own depletion and dark. I am the retained man, the survivor of the 30-day challenge, and I am finally